Hello. Here talking about my trip to Europe. It started off as a solo trip, which is really great. So 5 days in Brussels. First time I've ever done something kind of this crazy. Literally just on right before the end of the year, I saw that tickets to Amsterdam were just absurdly cheap, and I thought about it for a couple days, and I didn't know anybody over there or anything about the place. And I thought about it, and on the first of the year, I just decided that I really needed a change in my life from what I was doing, and even though it scared me and there was just so much unknown, I knew that I kind of had to do it. And so on the first of the year, I bought my tickets to Amsterdam. And gosh, honestly, what was scarier than that was telling that to my parents, being like, hey, I'm going to Europe by myself. Because I come from a pretty strict family, and my parents grew up in this area their entire lives, and they never really traveled, and my older sister didn't really travel either, so the idea of me going to a foreign country by myself absolutely terrified them. And my family means so much to me that if some of my actions just really upset them, then I'm not gonna do them, because I need to keep some level of respect for them, but also do what I want in my life. So yeah, I waited 2 weeks. I waited till about 2 weeks before I left to finally tell them. And that went interestingly, but they also kind of realized that I really don't know how they ended up letting me go. I'm just putting all of that up to God at this point. I was praying really hard, and for some reason he actually let it work out. So thank you. But yeah, so for some reason they actually let me go, which was incredible. And then I was like, holy crap, this is super real now. And got my euros, and I got a new travel bag, and I did some research I decided to go to Brussels first, so fly into Amsterdam, take the train down to Brussels, and then do 5 days in Brussels, and then head back to Amsterdam for 5 days. And yeah, I did some research into the places, but I also knew that I was gonna figure out what I wanted to do once I got there. So more of just made a mental list of the highlights that I should see, and then go from there. And as they a lot of people say that when you go to a hostel, you'll end up meeting people and they'll tell you about stuff that they did, and you're like, oh, that's really cool, I should probably go and do that. So that's kind of the idea. And first time ever staying in a hostel. And if you ever go to Brussels, you have to stay in hostel Meiniger. I know I butchered that, but it's Meiniger, and it is so unbelievably nice. All of my roommates were saying that it is the nicest hostel they have ever been in, and it was 4 beds, so 1 bunk bed and then 2 single beds, and 6 lockers, which was awesome, and then so much room. The bathroom was incredible, and all of them were saying it was the nicest hostel they have ever been in. So I'm just sad because it made me set my sights, or my expectations really high for hostels from here on out. But that's okay, because it was a wonderful experience. And so after, oh my god, forever of traveling, I arrived in Brussels at my hostel, and I got really lucky because my roommates, I was the first one in my room, so I got to choose my bed and shower and get become a person again before all of my roommates got there. And then one by one I met them, and then Juretsif was from the US, which was cool. Emily was from the UK, and then Stefan was from Romania but living in the UK. And they're all just really nice, and I was very fortunate, and I was so pooped, and I just wanted to go to bed, but at the same time I knew that I should probably actually go and do something. So immediately I when so I think Stefan was the last one to get there, and the other 2 girls had friends there, and they were doing their own thing, and Stefan was solo tripping like me, and I was kind of hey, do you want to go and find some waffles? I feel like that's kind of what you should do in Belgium. I want my first meal to be Belgian waffles. He's like, yeah, sure. And So we ended up walking, and it was nice because it was nighttime, and it was like a 15-minute walk from our hostel to the Grand Place, which is unbelievably gorgeous. It is basically the center attraction or thing to see in Brussels, so definitely stop by there. And then around there is just really cool stuff. And so we went to the Grand Place, and we just went all over and searched for waffles, and it turns out we were just really blind because couldn't find them, and yet they were still right there. But it was really nice because I never would have gone out that late and that long and that far if I was by myself. But like my roommate who I had just met, just some nice guy from wherever, and we were just like, yeah, like let's go do it. And it was just like really nice. And then like we got back to our hostel, and like everybody just went and did their own thing, and like the next day everybody did their own thing. And I think that's the cool part about hostels, is that everybody does their own thing, but like it's very easy to find somebody who wants to do, everybody's there for the same reason, so it's easy to find people who want to go and do stuff with you, or like the same stuff as you. Like, I wanted to find waffles. Once I mentioned that to Stefan, he's like, yeah, let's go find waffles. I was like, yes. So then that was just really cool. And I actually am going to make a different video called Why You Should Talk to Strangers. Probably part 2 at this point, because I talk to a lot of strangers, or the perks of talking to strangers. And that has to do with Emily, my other roommate. But yeah, so that was just kind of how I ended up there in Europe in the like first day. And it was absolutely wonderful. And then just from there, I made so many friends, and I feel like I know Brussels on the back of my hand, and Amsterdam too. And just, it's kind of crazy how much you can fit into in such a short period of time. Also, I walked an average of 10 miles a day, so definitely get good sleep and bring proper shoes. I brought hiking boots with me, which is kind of ridiculous because like I was in 2 of the most fashionable cities like over in Europe, and hiking boots don't really go. But you know what, like you can walk really far in them. You're always going to stay warm if it's cold out, and if it rains you're okay. But yeah, so that was kind of just the beginning of my trip, which was really exciting. And then I guess you're just gonna have to watch the next videos to figure out what happened next.